The Community Health Network, you know them as CAN, is one of our community's most vital nonprofits based in Florida and dedicated to the treatment, care, and continual wellness of people living with HIV. The new Director of Donor Development, Terry Dyer, is joining us today to talk about the state of healthcare in the LGBTQ+ community. CAN is holding a gospel brunch on October 15th at Hunter's Nightclub featuring live music, entertainment, soul food, and of course, a best church hat contest with fabulous prizes. Proceeds of the event will benefit CAN's Patient Assistance Fund, which directly impacts the health and well-being of patients it serves. Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out anchors FayWhat and Matthew Darren are hosting this fabulous event. So, welcome to Unapologetically Queer. Hotspots Magazine Happening Out is the world's largest LGBTQ+ media nonprofit, a 501c3 LGBTQ+ media platform. Our mission is a commitment to the 10 pillars of what we call the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, including Black LGBT, lesbian and queer women, Latino, trans, students and youth, seniors, business, social activism, and faith. And today we're excited that we get to talk about one of our most important 10 pillars missions, and that is HIV/AIDS healthcare. This show gets to talk to the most interesting people in the LGBTQ+ community that are the most interesting to the LGBTQ community. So let's welcome Terry Dyer. And Terry, before we begin, I understand you're unapologetically queer.
Sometimes.
Depending on which day it is.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. Well, today you're unapologetically queer. You've recently joined as the new director of CAN. Congratulations. CAN's so important to our community. Our pillar of healthcare, HIV/AIDS, is so important. Tell us about what you're doing. And for those that don't know, tell us a bit about CAN.
Absolutely. So CAN is an organization that started over 30 years ago in Sarasota. The founder, Susan Terry, was a medical practitioner who really took it upon herself to start taking care of those that were being impacted by the AIDS epidemic. She would do things like cook food in her own home, take it to patients, sit in their houses, hold their hands as they struggled with this epidemic. I love hearing about her because that's who the essence is of CAN Community Health. We are about the community. We believe in being a part of the community, engaging in the community, and I'm so incredibly excited to be here.
You know, it's exciting. First off, I'm from Sarasota. My home is in Sarasota, and in the 90s, I was in the JCs in Sarasota, and the big performing arts center like Broward here in Fort Lauderdale, the Van Wezel Performing Arts. Every year we would put on the STARS benefit for AIDS, and I was the chairman 2 years of the event, and CAN was one of the Community AIDS Network was one of the big participants in the program, but nothing like they are today. They were grassroots in Sarasota, and they've grown and grown. Tell us about some of the projects. Community AIDS Network works not only in Florida now, but in many states across the country. Tell us about some of the projects that community and services that Community AIDS Network does.
Absolutely. I think the best way to describe our organization is to just understand comprehensive health services is what we provide. We believe in providing services to those that are in marginalized communities, obviously those that are impacted by the HIV virus. We've got medical, dental, mental health, therapy, education as well. We do a lot of advocacy work. One of the things I'm really excited about is we also participate in research. We receive grant funding to do research, specifically in STI, STD, and HIV. So I'm really excited about being an organization that participates in the importance of moving to ending the epidemic.
There's several things that I think are interesting we should talk about on CAN. And is the preference to use the acronym to say CAN or
yes.
community? It is. Okay,
yes.
Good. For CAN, a lot in our community, we always make the joke that we're broadcasting from the gayest place on planet Earth, and it is. And we'll talk about San Francisco, your roots, but we're gayer than you are. It's interesting that Midland Health has such Midland Medical has such a such an anchor in our community, and that's CAN. People don't know it, but Midland is CAN. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So Midland became a part of the CAN family a few years ago. They are an affiliate of CAN Community Health, and also very excited, right? I think one of the cool things about Midland is that they do have that anchor, that sort of deeply rooted presence in this community, and CAN, wants to be a part of that, but also have our own identity, right? We provide services that they don't, they provide services that we don't. So it's really about making sure that patients are receiving full comprehensive health from either one of us.
So now with Midland going into the greater CAN umbrella, it provides even greater services than they had before.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another thing that's interesting about CAN is the way they come to community, especially in LGBT. We covered extensively the recent pool party that Flockfest hosted, and I thought a really clever promotion in partnership with CAN and Midland, where you get an HIV test, and everybody sees the vans at the Welton Shops or the Eagle, or really all over South Florida, and I'm sure in many of the markets that CAN serves. But if you got your HIV test, you got a free ticket.
Yes.
Tell us about the thinking there of presenting HIV, AIDS, and broad LGBT healthcare in unique ways to say, come on, it can be fun and it's important, all combined. That's a unique approach in the marketing, isn't it?
It really is. I think the most important thing to think about, AIDS and HIV is not the doom and gloom conversation that it used to be. We have come a tremendous long way in terms of medication and services and things of that nature. However, we still have so much more room and more places to go with medication, with research, and getting people into services, right? A lot of people talk about this all the time. Miami-Dade, Broward County, still the #1 for new infection rates in the entire country, right? So with all of our services,
and that's a list that you don't want to be the best in.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like being on the not best dressed list or whatever it is, right? We need to really make a deeper imprint in that, and that's connecting to underserved communities. It is building trust in those communities to educate people, to really get the message out there that everyone needs to know their status, and if they're not in care, how do we link them to care? If they become HIV positive, what are the steps that we take to ensure that their entire comprehensive health is taken care of? In a lot of Black and brown communities, Latino communities, folks aren't thinking about sexual health and wellness. People are thinking about day-to-day livelihood. They're thinking about rent, mortgage, food, transportation. Insurance, right? So that's where we come in.
The governor's mansion.
Right.
And lots of tongue in cheek.
Exactly.
Let's talk about one of the big things that CAN is noted for, and that is, of course, the Smart Ride. CAN is a longtime presenting sponsor of the Smart Ride. Glenn Weinzimmer, an anchor here at Queer News Tonight. I did an extensive interview with him, and Todd and Glenn revealed his near-death experience in 1993 to full-blown AIDS, and then his decision 10 years later, after managing HIV, to starting the Smart Ride, and 20 years. Just recently, in recent weeks, the announcement that it'll be the final version of Smart Ride. There'll be other things in the future with the beneficiaries. But tell us about CAN's involvement and why the Smart Ride has been so important to CAN through the years.
Absolutely. I think anytime we can be in a space where we are bringing awareness, where we are celebrating life, where we are celebrating the accomplishments that we have made with the epidemic, those are the spaces that we want to be in. We want to be, not only educating, but celebrating, right? As I mentioned a moment ago, it's not the doom and gloom anymore. We need to honor the history of the epidemic, but then also continue to celebrate and really move the messaging forward and hopefully reach younger generations. That's something that's also really important. We've got to reach the younger generations. Smart Ride, it was very sad. It was a very sad day when Glenn made the announcement. Again, as you just mentioned, I'm from San Francisco, so being a part of the AIDS life cycle for such a long time, it was amazing to move here and find out that we had the Smart Ride. So definitely sad to see it go. And as you mentioned, hopefully, there will be different iterations moving forward.
Yeah, the beneficiaries are in the process of working on what the new going forward after 20 years of what the ride or rides will look like. And so we're excited and waiting for the news of that. But before we get to the news of that, CAN's involvement over the next several months. The ride is a little more than 5-6 weeks away, but really fundraising and CAN's support of Smart Ride all the way to the end of the year before the big checks are presented in early 2024. Big goal this year of $2 million at CAN's Smart Ride. What do you think about the goal of raising $2 million in the Smart Ride?
I mean, we need more. we need more. My philosophy is always go big or go home, right? And I think it's just so vital to, again, moving things forward with the epidemic. We're so proud to be a part of this event, and our teams from all over the state get really excited to help to raise money, to do the ride themselves. We're excited I finally get to go. I haven't had the opportunity to go in the last couple of years, so I'm excited to be with the organization along the ride and at the stops and just engaging with folks, right? Like we are in such a space in our society right now where we need to celebrate more.
It's interesting. Last year was the first time Glenn had been on me for a long, long time to participate last year, and I'm sad to say it was the first time that I did it. Of course, I'll be with the ride November 17th and 18th this year. But from CAN's involvement in leading, CAN really makes this event possible, and the reason is for a lot of listeners that don't perhaps understand how important CAN is in community for the Smart Ride. Smart Ride is the only organizational fundraising event of its kind in America that gives 100% back. So every dollar that you raise goes back to beneficiaries and organizations. And the way they make that possible is because of sponsorship, and the costs are borne of the administration of the Smart Ride, the food and all of the support by organizations principally led through CAN. That must be a very proud moment where CAN says we're going to help with the cost of the event, so 100% of all of the money that is raised can go back to services and community. That must be just a fabulous feeling.
It is, and I think it goes along with, the essence of Susan Terry, right, the founder of the organization. She believed in community. She believed in supporting, those that didn't necessarily have the resources. And if we can be in a space to do that, then, we gladly will, it'd be our honor to participate in those spaces.
The one thing that you can do to say thank you to CAN, to say thank you to Midland in the umbrella, but especially to say thank you to Glenn Weinzimmer and the Smart Ride is get out there. And the three things that we're asking you to do is first, ride. If you can't ride, we ask you to donate to a rider. And if you can't do that, volunteer. Any of those three things really brings the Smart Ride's 20th anniversary to just a mammoth success. So help Smart Ride help our community. Terry, the next thing I want to talk about is the World AIDS Museum. You were the executive director of the World AIDS Museum. So important, first and foremost, it's in our own community. It's not in San Francisco. It's not in San Francisco, damn it. It's here in Fort Lauderdale and Wilton Manors. As executive director of the World's AIDS Museum, what do you think about where we are in our awareness of the history of the AIDS epidemic and the movement and ACT UP and all of the history that we've been through? There's no gay man in America over the age of 40 that does not understand this was a historic, even civil rights kind of movement in America, in our community. From your seat as executive director transitioning to CAN, what do you think about where we are in HIV/AIDS in America?
Gosh. It is such a out of sight, out of mind type of mentality and approach. And I really think, especially during my time as the executive director of the World AIDS Museum, I think the focus was really ensuring that people did not forget what we have gone through, but then people also looked at where we are currently and how we can move forward. There's a goal to end the epidemic by 2030. Right? We can only do that together.
Yeah.
We really can. I understand, different medical practices has their space and folks have this space, but we've got to figure out a way of doing this together in order to end that epidemic. So often younger generations say to me, oh, well, what's Stonewall? That's such a fascinating, right? Like the look on your face, right? Wow, right.
Chilling.
But then, right. And then they ask the same question. Well, I mean, I know HIV, but what happened during, this AIDS epidemic? And even just saying the words, this AIDS epidemic, that's a part of our history. That's a part of our culture. And I'm a firm believer in you've got to know your history in order to understand your present and how to move into your future.
It must be, you're an interesting intersection, it seems to me, as former executive director of the World AIDS Museum, now to go into this public front at Community AIDS Network. I have so many of my friends that literally say, what's the big deal about HIV/AIDS? And they just completely dismiss. I've had friends that have said, wait, HIV is over. And it must be such a bitter pill to slog up the hill in the fight from World AIDS Museum and now at CAN to say nothing could be further from the truth.
Absolutely. People think just because you can take a pill, right, that it's over, and it's really not. There are communities out there that are still highly impacted at higher rates of infection than other communities. There's a lack of education, there's a lack of trust, there is a lack of knowledge and resources in those spaces. And so with folks like World AIDS Museum, with folks like CAN Community Health and Midland, it's our responsibility, to really connect with those communities and ensure that they're being taken care of, right? Like that's one of my favorite quotes, with great privilege comes responsibility. And we are in spaces of certain types of privilege. So let's ensure that we're taking care of each other.
Yeah, we must constantly remind our friends, know your status. It's incredibly important. Before we talk about the event, I want a unique opportunity because of South Florida. You have an eye in coming to South Florida and doing many of the things that you've done in South Florida. Coming from San Francisco, we always make the compare and contrast jokes. It's San Francisco. No, it's Wilton, Fort Lauderdale, South Florida. Your experience in both communities, how are they similar? How are they different from your seat and your eye of what you've seen over these last number of years?
Absolutely. San Francisco will always be home to me.
Yeah, we call it the mothership.
Yes.
If the village people challenged us to go west to San Francisco, we believed them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It will always be home. I think for me, San Francisco was such that space where, the little gay boy in rural towns would say, I want to go there. I want to go there because I will be loved. I will be hugged. I will be accepted.
Protected,
safe. Absolutely. And now there's other spaces where they can do that. It's not just San Francisco anymore. And that's what Wilton is. That's what South Florida is, in my opinion. That's now the same type of mentality where you can come here and there's something for everybody. You can come here and meet really amazing people, right? People will hug you if you need it.
Palm trees and beaches, fog and cold. Which do you? No, I won't do that.
I still get the humidity. I still get the humidity.
I'm from Florida, so do I. All right. Let's talk about the big fun fundraiser, the Gospel Brunch. It's October 15th. It's going to be at Hunter's at 1:30. It's to raise awareness and help in funding the Patient Assistance Fund. Now, CAN's Patient Assistance Fund, help explain that. This is a very unique project that CAN does for those that are in greatest need. Help us understand that.
It's a program that provides medical and or living assistance for those that need it, right? Marginalized communities, underserved communities, etc. We're helping folks, as I mentioned earlier, with rent and mortgage, with medications, with transportations to appointments, right? Transportations to get jobs, things of that nature. I am so proud to be raising funds for that because that's direct impact, right? That's completely
serving directly our greatest need in community.
Absolutely. It's not easy in our economy right now. for so many reasons. And if we can be a part of making things a little easier or simpler for folks, then that's a proud moment, right?
Yeah.
So let's continue to help raise funds.
So great cause that CAN is doing. Now you have these hosts, FayWhat and Darren or Matthew Darren. Who are these people you're talking about? I haven't heard of them before. What do they do in community?
Yes, both are huge community advocates, and just being able to partner with them. And Matthew is absolutely amazing.
Great singer.
And so incredibly talented.
Faye is not a great singer.
I've recently heard her on stage at a book reading, though. My goodness,
yes,
fantastic.
All right, so she can read. That's good to sing. And the event of the Gospel Brunch, it's a unique concept. One of the things that we talk about in Welton Manors is if we can continue to diversify representation in our community, we want to do that. Gospel kind of goes in that realm. Soul food, that kind of caught my attention. What is this you talk of in Welton Manors? And of course the best church hat. So you literally are going to be doing a fundraising event that Tyler Perry could record. Right?
I mean, hopefully we get him to come. No, I'm just kidding.
Right? That'd be good. So tell us a little bit about the event. How will it work? What will you be doing?
Absolutely.
How much fun it's going to be?
It's going to be a lot of fun. Those that love live entertainment, they're going to get, if you've ever been to a Matthew Darren D-Rock production show, you know you're in for a treat.
Right.
And so we've got that happening. We also have something that I am extremely, extremely proud of. So we have done a photo exhibition that is profiling and highlighting people of color, specifically Black people of in our communities that have done great work, that are the bartender that you see on a regular basis, that's working for Habitat for Humanity, that's a teacher, et cetera, et cetera. We really felt it necessary in an event like this, a space like this, a wonderful opportunity to, bring some more diversity, to bring more inclusivity, to bring more visibility to those that don't always have that. So extremely excited about the photo exhibition and the food. I cannot wait till people try the food.
Would it surprise you that much of, we put on the Stonewall Pride Parade, much of the community of Welton Drive and the bedrooms around Welton Drive, that maybe they've never even had soul food before? No. Would that surprise you, or it wouldn't surprise you?
It wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise you. So a great reason. October 15th.
Yes. 1:30
p.m. And above everything else, not only is this going to be fun with Faye hosting and Matthew hosting, but it gives us a little bit of diversity in our community. And above all else, you're raising money for a great cause for those that are in the greatest need for assistance. How do we get tickets? Where do we find out more?
Online. We're on all the social media platforms. We've got the QR code link flying around. Super easy. They are $45 for general admission, $60 for VIP. VIP's got seating, the show. You get a complimentary beverage. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You don't want to miss it. It's unique, and come on, we're LGBTQ, so we're always looking for new and unique. You can get more information, by the way, for the event, in addition to social media everywhere, but also learn more about CAN. The development of CAN's presence in the South Florida community is important. Midland Health being one of the big anchors, and you can see more at cancommunityhealth.org for more details on everything that they're doing. We'll see each other at Smart Ride. It's going to be an amazing event. Let's hold our breath for that $2 million crossover, and regardless of whatever happens, the legacy of CAN's involvement in making Smart Ride possible is forever going to be remembered.
Thank you. Thank you.
Terry Dyer, thank you so much for joining us today on Unapologetically Queer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.